we've always known that life is hard, but I think the past year and a half or almost 2 years has been
like it's
crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And people have really had to start really thinking about themselves even more.
Yeah.
Right, becoming more selfish, because now you're thinking, as we were saying earlier, what if I don't have that job?
Yeah.
I better make sure I've secured
something
enough
now.
money for the next 2-3 years.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna loot that.
But like coming back
I'm gonna loot those government funds as hardcore.
Oh man, it's sad, dude.
It's sad, dude. It's crazy. And this is not just politicians. This is capitalist to the core. So guys in banking, guys in whatever, they're just trying to milk it, so that they secure their futures, man.
Yeah.
It's and no one gives a damn about the next person.
That's the thing.
Honest.
But I mean, not to sound socialist or anything, but we all need each other at the end of the day.
Yeah, we do. Right, yeah.
That's just a fact, because if the guy at the bottom doesn't exist anymore, it affects everybody up the chain.
It does, yeah.
People don't see it that way, but it actually does. If you look at let's say the Absa building, for example. The Absa building has employed cleaners, right?
Yeah.
And they're at the bottom of the chain, as the lowest ranking employees of Absa, for example.
Yeah. But without Absa,
if all the cleaners were to disappear,
Absa doesn't have any cleaners.
There's no cleaners,
exactly.
Right? So now there's filth, right, building up, which is a problem. But then somebody has to clean it up.
Exactly. Then Absa is not Absa anymore.
If we can't get cleaners, then the next guy is, maybe the receptionist, and I don't know who does the cleaning. You see what I mean? And if the receptionists aren't there, directing calls to where they need to go, how does Absa speak to the clients? You see what I mean? So in the whole value chain,
everyone
the
is
whole
important.
org structure, everybody's important.
Yeah. And it's important to help everyone.
That's
right?
the thing,
Yeah.
because everybody is needed. Whatever role you're playing in the organization or in the world, is important.
Yeah,
at the end of the day.
That's very, very true. But unfortunately,
it's not valued.
It's
important
not
that it's not
valued.
valued.
Right? It's not valued, and it will never be valued, because people don't. Firstly, people don't think. I mean, people don't talk about this.
Yeah.
Right. And if people don't talk about it, people don't have it.
They don't think about it.
Exactly. They don't think about it, man.
So it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Talking about COVID and how things have affected everyone. For example, myself, I have a 9-to-5, but before COVID, I had extra stuff I was doing on the side, like playing gigs. Mm-hmm. And the gig economy has, it's almost completely disappeared.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
with the little opportunity that people are getting now.
Yeah.
I mean, you really have to be connected, or you have to be one of the more popular sort of acts to get a gig, to play at a restaurant or at a party or a function. And I mean, functions are also limited as well in terms of how many people can attend and all these things. So what COVID's done, it's really disrupted, a lot of people's livelihood. And I'm lucky to say I have a job still.
Yeah.
But that extra income I was getting from gigs is completely gone. And I know a lot of musicians, and not just musicians, MCs, wedding planners, and just, events companies and venues.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They've really
and
squeezed.
Again, I don't think that people are thinking about. People actually have been thinking about that, right? Which is that very informal sector, which actually, I think in South Africa, again, as anything, is not well developed, because it's not. For example, say if the shit we see on TV, let's say New York, whatever, right? There is a bustling little, vibey, elegant, informal community or economy, right?
Yeah.
And this is like your small musicians that play at pubs.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool to listen to people that no one knows.
Yeah.
Right? So listen, that band that has 5,000 like followers.
Yeah, yeah.
And like wherever they go, those 5,000 kind of follow and
Yeah.
all that shit.
Yeah.
And it's cool to do that because you don't want to listen to Jay-Z and Beyonce. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
well, you
they've got
can't.
their
You
own-
actually,
you can,
you
right?
almost,
But I
you
mean,
almost can't. Like you almost,
you can't,
Where are
exactly,
you
yeah.
gonna, where are you gonna listen to that?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Because
Yeah.
they're like they don't appeal
so
to you as well.
exclusive.
Like
Yeah, yeah,
exactly,
they don't
you,
appeal to you. It's
you like your
exclusive.
small
It's-
little
yeah.
elegant, kind of a crew where everyone kind of knows each
Yeah,
other.
and maybe
that-
you like the idea that you could get a picture with the band.
Exactly,
after,
right?
you know what I
and
mean?
the band is just kind of like a normal band. Dude.
Yeah, they're just
not
chill.
Like,
They're just yeah.
chill dudes.
They're
right?
over there. They're sitting there.
They're sitting there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And they're fucking having the beers
Yeah.
and all that shit. Yeah, and it's so elegant to have, to have a life like that. But people don't. I mean, that's been largely excluded. Right?
Yeah.
And people don't think about that band that, can't play gigs anymore because
Yeah.
the restaurant that's kind of like they used
Where
to
they
play
played every
gigs.
Thursday night.
Every Thursday
It's
night's
not there
closed.
anymore,
And
yeah.
that restaurant is like a small little restaurant as well. They
Yeah.
serve the community and no one's, well, specifically in South Africa, I think in Europe and stuff, I think people kind of value those things because maybe they have those conversations a little bit more and they support each other a little
Yeah,
bit more.
yeah.
But here, that shit's disappeared, man.
But also another thing on the plus side, what it's done is the internet has exploded, and allowed
Damn,
for, people to
Yeah.
do all kinds of really interesting things
Yeah.
on the internet,
Yeah.
which is, it's a great opportunity for somebody to say, okay, cool, I'm gonna hook up my phone
Yeah.
and I'm gonna perform live on Facebook, and I've got a community of followers who will, support me with whatever it is in my PayPal account, whether it's a $5 or, that whole tips on my live show.
Yeah, but
Which is interesting.
Which is interesting, but we need to promote that. Like,
Yeah.
we actually need to promote that, that culture of supporting like your community act and whatever, just like supporting your community, man. And that could be like black people supporting black people. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Youth supporting youth.
I know some really, really talented musicians
Yeah.
that are nowhere.
But they should.
You know what I
don't
mean?
know.
They're
Is
super talented, but they're not getting to where they need to be.
Is it because they're not putting themselves out there or what?
Besides that, it's for example, if I have a great song, if I've put out a great song on Spotify or whatever, if I want to get it played on radio, I need to know people. And I need to have money. I need to put money forward and say, cool, please make sure this song is played on radio.
Yeah.
On the popular radio stations,
Yeah.
YFM, 5FM or whatever, Metro or 94.7. I need to have connections and I need to have money to make sure my track gets to play
Jams, yeah.
on radio. So for a talented musician trying to get into the game without that sort of thing behind them, it gets more difficult, And a lot of guys are trying to go the route of indie, unsigned, because they don't want to sign a 360 deal with a label which says we're only going to release one song a month, which for them, I mean,
Yeah.
as a creative, you putting out
wanna bang
songs,
that-
you putting
that
out like
music out, dude.
2-3 songs a week,
Yeah.
and you have to wait for the label to say, cool, we've done enough marketing for this one song, so now we can then do another, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it makes it more difficult. It makes it more complicated, especially for the guys that are signed now who
Yeah.
are regretting that, and guys that are thinking, geez, man, I need to be signed. Because there's guys sitting there thinking, that artist is signed. I see them all the time on, these different shows on TV.
Yeah.
But that artist, if you speak to that, because I've spoken to a few of them, and I've actually interviewed some of them on a podcast similar to this, and the guys are saying, man, it's crazy because people see you in an Uber or see you in a taxi. And it's like, why is this guy in a taxi,
Yeah.
He's got 1 million followers on Instagram,
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
And he's got people in his DMs on Instagram saying, could you do this? Could you do that? Could you do this? But he can't because the label or the deal that he has with the label says he can't do anything outside of the label. So he's saying to people, okay, speak to my PR team, and then that just dissolves. The PR team doesn't do it. So there's all these
Because maybe it's
different-
not lucrative for
Or they just
for
feel
them.
like we've got a specific plan that we're following, or you know
Oh
what I mean.
yeah,
The labels
yeah, yeah.
they've got their own agenda, you see. So for the artist, it becomes for the signed artist, it becomes difficult. For the unsigned artist, it's difficult. So it's like, who's winning? You know what I
It's
mean? Like,
crazy.
who out there is actually winning? You see,
The guys who own the shit, I
the guys who
suppose.
own it, exactly. The
Because
guys who
they
own it.
pick and choose, stuff that they think is going to do well, and they,
Yeah, and
like
they
if it's a
do it,
radio
and they make
station,
money from it.
they make money from it
Yeah,
because they
and then you
know
get
how to make money.
whatever your tiny cut is,
Yeah.
and they tell you, yeah, but we gotta pay this, we gotta pay the photographers, we gotta pay these people, we gotta pay those people, we gotta pay the promoters, we gotta
Which
pay.
is why I'm saying we need to make it cool and elegant to support like smaller artists. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I should have a band or like a rapper or whatever like I listen to.
Yeah.
Right? I should have,
like a local somebody that you
I
follow, that
follow,
you support,
dude.
yeah, in a
You know what
real
I'm
way,
saying?
yeah,
In a real way, right?
Yeah.
But we don't. We actually don't do that. And specifically, I'll say again in South Africa or Africa in general, because we haven't made it elegant enough to support like small, little, communities
yeah.
and shit.
I was
and
having
talent.
I was having a conversation, and I think this spills over not just to musical talent, but
I mean, it spills over
you
into
know,
everything. dude.
there's graphic designers, poets, illustrators, even people that design clothing.
Yeah.
I was speaking to somebody, and he was telling me, man, just to get a supplier for material
Yeah.
that's going to supply you and that's going to give you good prices and everything is super difficult.
Yeah.
Because the guys that are bringing in certain materials, whether it's leather or whatever it is, they're there saying, dude, I gotta charge you this because this person's charging me this and this person's charging me that. So I gotta pass on some of that cost to you, and it becomes expensive for somebody to produce a piece of clothing, right? And then me on the other side who's trying to support this designer, this clothing designer.
It's going to be very
right,
expensive.
it's gonna
for me.
say, but this guy charges so much for his clothing,
Yeah.
And so there's a gap somewhere where there has to be some way to improve, the experience of the guy that brings in the materials, so that he's able to have a supplier that will supply him in bulk, and he's able to buy in bulk at a lesser price, so
Yeah.
that when it comes to you who's designing the clothing, you're buying it at a reasonable price, so that when it gets to the retail price, somebody can afford the stuff that you're creating, and then we can then support each other, because it's all good and well to say support, but then if I can't afford to support, then
Then there's nothing I can.
you
also
see what I
do.
mean? And
Yeah.
I'd love to, but it's like,
I don't.
this
I
guy
can't.
is so small. Unfortunately, he's so small, and his overheads are so high, which
And
make
his price
his
points is-
stuff
It's
expensive.
inaccessible.
You see what I mean?
Right now,
So
so-
so there's like there's so many holes that need to be plugged.
Yeah, I mean, I faced the same sort of like challenge, right? Which
Yeah.
is, a lot of people will be like, yeah, but I mean, yeah, your clothes are nice, man, but they're kind of pricey,
Yeah.
right? But to be honest, like I've gotten to a stage where I'm actually, bro, I mean, it's pricey
Yeah.
now for a reason, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To be
Yeah,
honest,
yeah.
like I don't, like if you can't afford it, bro,
That's that.
that's
It's
that,
okay.
dude. Like
Yeah.
honestly, and this is
Try
what
again
I've learned.
later.
Yeah, exactly. Try again later, dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm always here, man.
I'm around. You know
Just,
I am.
you know,
Try next year.
Just get your money up, bro. So I mean, it's the same thing that I'm facing. But what I'm starting to learn for myself is just, make it super, if I can say, elegant and like so dope that someone says, listen, I have to have that shit.
Yeah,
Bro. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? And even if as an artist you get to that level where you're so good that if there's a subscription you need to pay for my podcast,
Yeah.
right? Or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then you have to pay that 10 rands a month for the podcast.
Yeah.
Bro. I mean, because you're so good and like I've got the content that
That you
really
want. Yeah. This is stuff that you want.
So that's another aspect, right? That's another spanner in the works, man.
Yeah.
Right. So, which is why I was saying, do the artists have a responsibility as well, right? Maybe we do, like here, right? I need to make stuff that's so amazing that someone thinks, I mean, before they even think about buying stuff online from the States or from
Yeah.
Europe or
Yeah.
something and have it shipped down here, right?
Suit supply or something.
Suit supply,
Yeah.
right? They need to say, listen, I can get it from this
Sean
dude,
Marshall.
right? And that's where I want to get to. But like for me, it's a philosophy, dude. Like, I want to start catering to the people who don't want to, who want to live a simple life. You understand? Which is like the same thing for me, right? I went from, like, speaking about my personal style, which is I went from wearing a lot of color to, you know, like experimenting different shit, like even wearing like what Kanye West. I mean, remember when Kanye West came out the
With his
tees with the hose and shit, like
yeah.
distressed, and everyone was wearing that shit, like and then I just came to, and then 2021 happened, and I think which is kind of important, right? And like you introspect a lot. Well, I did during 2021, and I mean the pandemic in general, right? Now it's like, yeah, man, how can I simplify my life, right? To the point where I could just wear, to the point where I could eat the same because I had an uncle who like literally used to eat the same thing every single day, dude. Like, he knows what he's eating in the morning, he knows what he's eating in the afternoon, and it's like set. Like the maid even knows
this is what I'm making.
He's eating pap and whatever and meat every single day. Every single night is doing the same thing. Right? And you know, like for me, that's actually pretty cool because it simplifies your life, right? If I wear the same thing every day, then I can focus on stuff that's a little bit more important, right? Than what I wear, than what I eat.
Because that's all set, so sorted.
That's all set, and
done,
you know what I'm
ready.
saying, right? Now I can focus on things that are actually a little bit more important than that. And then, you know, the onus for me as the designer or the creator is, I just need to make sure that when I'm doing that, it needs to be very, very well done and well executed, so that the guys don't think twice. Right?
They're just
so
like,
I'm simplifying their life as well. This is it. It's very good quality.
I love this.
I love this, and you know what I'm saying. And and I need to be world class at that. So that's my artistic responsibility, man. If other artists could do that, then I think we could be fine. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We could be in a different place.
No, I mean, even my experience,